Hey everyone, and welcome to Comic Breakdown. If you're new to the page, be sure to give us a like and a sub so you don't miss any of the content we have coming out. And today we're going to be getting into something really fun. We're going to be getting into Green Lantern 80th Anniversary. Now this is a 100-page comic, but we're going to be covering only a few stories out of this, not to spoil it completely. And I really enjoy this because it has a lot of little stories in here. It's got 10 stories individually that have made up what we know as Green Lantern today. And so without further ado, let's dive into this issue. Now there's tons of writers and artists and colorists and letterers that went into this. There's so many to name, so we'll make sure that we leave a little bit of a clip for recognition towards them. And our first story picks us up with Alan Scott. Now Alan Scott is the first Green Lantern. He was created in July of 1940. And this was the birth of Green Lantern as we know him. Now, Alan Scott is a little bit different than all the other Green Lanterns. And it's different because he found a lantern, a green lantern that was glowing. There had been some kind of explosion, and him and his buddy had gotten stuck. His friend died, and he found the lantern. And he used the power of the lantern to enact his revenge against the people that blew up this bridge to make a profit, essentially. Now, Alan Scott is just the beginning of Green Lantern, and you may be curious to how he gets his powers versus everybody else. Now, Alan Scott, his power is derived from the Starheart. So, the Guardians of the Universe had an early experiment of trying to wield the green light of willpower. And so, it's pretty much the version 1 of the Green Lantern Corps. And then in 1959, we're met with Hal Jordan. Now, Hal Jordan is the Green Lantern Corps we know today. We also saw the birth of the Guardians of the Universe. And so these guys were written in. They're the immortal race that have been tasked with protecting all 3,600 space sectors. And each sector gets designated 2 Green Lanterns, totaling 7,200 Green Lanterns in the universe. And in the early days, when it was just Hal Jordan, he patrolled Sector 2814. And it's still the sector he patrols today, but now that we have multiple Green Lanterns coming from Earth, they patrol different sectors, like 2814.1 is Hal Jordan, and 2814.2 is Gardner. Now, we can't tell any Green Lantern story, modern day at least, without mentioning Sinestro and the Sinestro Corps. And in this, they give us one of those stories, and it's when Sinestro is building the Sinestro Corps, when he understands that he's going to use fear, because fear is more powerful than willpower, in his opinion. You know, and he's arguably one of the most powerful Green Lanterns to have ever existed. And when everything failed him, when he wasn't strong enough to protect the ones he loved, when the Guardians of the Universe turned against him, he found a way to forge a new ring using fear. And so now he's going around to each lantern and giving them a choice: joining the Corps, or he kills them and waits for the ring to find a new host and tries the same thing with the next, until eventually he's built his own Lantern Corps, which is today known as the Sinestro Corps. And we had the Sinestro Wars and things of that nature, and it's been hugely detrimental to the DC universe as a whole. Now, the next story we're going to cover is Kyle Rayner. Now, Kyle Rayner first appeared in Green Lantern Volume 3, number 48. And he pretty much came to be because Hal Jordan had succumbed to the influence of Parallax, and the Lantern Corps had been crumbling. And so the Guardian Gauntlet had looked to Earth to find a new bearer for the final Green Lantern ring. And this is where it found Kyle Rayner. And for quite a while, Kyle Rayner was the only Green Lantern. But since then, we've had many Green Lantern come along, like Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz. So with this issue, Guy Gardner had sent Kyle to this pretty much Green Lantern, Earth Heroes, like memorabilia, more or less. Like things they've collected over the years that may have sentimental value or something of that nature. And really, it just gives us a little bit of understanding from Kyle's perspective. You know, for a long time he was the only lantern, and now there's tons of lanterns. And so the Lantern Corps at this point has expanded. It has expanded to our sector 2814.1.2, so on and so forth. And so with this, we're seeing the growing Lantern Corps as we've come through the years. And I don't think Kyle was widely accepted, but I really did enjoy the constructs that he could create. Like here in this comic when he's battling one of the battle drones that Gardner had brought back, not realizing that it was just in a dormant state, not necessarily deactivated or completely dealt with. And what's really cool here is we see Kyle use the ring to construct every lantern of Earth and defeat this thing. And so it's just really unique to see these constructs that he can create versus what Hal Jordan creates versus what John Stewart can create. You know, I personally have always been a big fan of Kyle himself, while I don't think he's been widely receptive throughout the community. Now, we have one more story to cover from this issue, and this one's called 4. And I really think this sums up what it is the Green Lantern Corps is. And in the opening panels, we have Hal, John, and Kyle all sitting around a table. So these are all 3 Green Lanterns of Earth at one point in time. Now, this is years later. They're much older men at this point, and they're sitting around having drinks. Now, there's 4 glasses, but there's only 3 of them here. And they start to reminisce. They reminisce about times that they fought Evil Star, and it really seems to be circling around Gardner and talking about what the crazy things that Gardner did at the end of the day. Like, because out of all the lanterns, he would be the most reckless one. They reminisce about battling Sinestro and how Gardner had flown by Sinestro with nothing but his ring on to essentially give a distraction for John Stewart and the other lanterns to be able to make their attack and bring down Sinestro. You know, and they're just sitting around reminiscing, and they've been doing this for once a year every year for 17 years. And they say that they're going to go visit somebody, and they go to the grave of Gardner. And it just shows the brotherhood that these 4 individuals have. You know, these guys have been lanterns their entire lives. And now that they're older, more defined, and they've retired their lantern rings, they still hold on to that brotherhood Lantern Corps that binds them together for the rest of their lives. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I definitely think it was an awesome run for the 80th anniversary. It had a lot of great artists in here. It had a lot of great little pinups, great short stories. Definitely a lot of them had emotion. Some of them were kind of funny. So overall, it was extremely enjoyable. If you guys haven't yet, be sure to like and subscribe to the page. And until the next video.